Happy Freestyle Friday, everybody. We got the band back together on a Friday. I'm excited.
Let's
We
go.
got
Get it. You know it.
TK and Miss Ward joining me. I'm EJ. Friday Freestyle. What's good? How you two doing?
I'm ready for it, man. I'm ready to get it, boy. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I got so many jobs. I can't complain. I was just telling my better half, I said, you know what? If you hear me complaining, please slap the taste out my mouth. Because there's people out here
That's right.
struggling, man. And I'm trying to figure out how to get it all done with excellence and mastery.
Amen.
How's my audio?
I'm
Okay.
it your audio is bad.
All right.
Hey, regular, expected. Hey, we appreciate you being here, TK.
Well, I
We
wanted to be
love the emotional
on
support.
my computer. Apparently, my wife commandeered that this morning, so I'm trying for the last minute thing. I'm trying to make it to the office real quick.
Well,
I
we
actually
got you.
made
We
it to
got
my
you.
office.
Friday,
I'm live
fire
from
off
my
your
new office
questions,
now.
everybody. I don't want to get back together. We're here. You got the three amigos ready to rock.
Yeah,
Amen. Drop your questions in the chat. Let us know if you're watching. All three of you out there. Uh, Let us know what's going on. We saw Adam check in. Uh, Everybody else want to check in? Say hey. Get it going. I kind of like my view here. You see the man above my shoulder. That's the
absolutely.
that's
That's it.
that's the one.
Absolutely. That's
I'm
right.
kind of liking this. In the
Yep,
new
that's a good
office,
look.
it's a mess, or I'd show you guys.
Hey, at least you there, man. Trying to tell you, man. Look at where you came from. Look at
You
where
know,
you
you
came from, man.
you was talking about being thankful for the jobs you have, and we just started a gratitude chat on Messenger. Uh, Jenny started it up, and a few of us are in it. And every morning we mention something that we're grateful for, and it's really started my days differently. Like I do have to consciously think of something because I don't want to be the one that didn't have anything to be grateful for. And I try to find something different. And this morning, that's exactly what I was thinking. Because what you said, I was just thinking that next week's looking a little lighter than this week was, but we still got work to do. And I can focus on the negative, or I can focus on the positive, and I choose the positive. So,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah. I think it's very important that we, like, for me, I'm at a point now where um, I'm always strategic about the jobs I take, but I'm about becoming more strategic about my thought process of thinking through it. Is it worth the time? How do I elevate? Like, one of the guys at my round table called me and they was harassing me about the comment I made yesterday about not working in homes under 100,000. And I'm Miss Ward, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm just gonna keep it real. And I'm not knocking those areas because you got a lot of people that, depending on the city you're in, you got to realize my last job last night was in uh, Water Sound in 38. So that home I was in was probably about 3.5 million, right? Went in GE monogram, and the GE monogram is actually in the what do you call that? When they have the pool and
the
the
pool
outdoor
house.
kitchen. The outdoor kitchen has a
Okay.
built-in monogram, right? 36-inch. So anyway, it wasn't cool and went and took a look at it. But the whole point that I'm saying is that it's only one Miss Ward. And if I show in a certain environment, I'm always a businesswoman, so I'm going where I can maximize my opportunities. You know what I mean? And I'm very driven about my ticket average. I'm driven by the clientele that I service. And and it forces me to keep my tech skills up. Like, I am not a GE Monogram fan in no way, shape, or form, unless it's what's the word we're looking for? Little inverter box on the side, a board, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Maybe some coils. But I'm not trying to be the one that, when those guys have to go in there, how they have that defrost drain problem, and the evaporators frosted up, you got to thaw all that out, drop the top, pick up. No, I'm not that fan. You follow me? I'm going to sub that out. But that's what I mean about how you analyze what you do. And so I'm never going to be ashamed of the fact that I approach from my thought process and my skill set. And I think everyone should really look at. That's why when I'm coaching people, I said, look at what you're good at, focus on those areas, get your bag up, and continue to level up on your skill set. The more you know, and the better you are trained, the more you can make. And you can pick and choose. I mean, I pick and choose, and I'm not apologetic about it. I feel like gone are the days where you got to go down here and take crumbs or take what they throw a dog a bone, because, and I think a lot of the old timers are offended by that, which is why I'm having the open conversation. I have so much respect for the old timers because they have such a wealth of information. I don't even think they understand their value. I do. And that's why I have them on my roundtable, because there are people that look at me cross-eyed at the way I go to business, but I'm living in 2020. I'm living in 2030. They living in 2013. You feel me?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you can't, if you going, like my mom said, if you're going to do it, stick your chest out with it. And I'm not saying my way is perfect at all. I'm saying coming into the game in 2019, part-time, working a full-time corporate job in a mechanically focused field in automotive, and being at the top of my game in that world, managing several techs, everything I do is analytical. I have to analyze shops. I have to analyze bays. I had to analyze production per bay. I had to put teams together in certain demographics to service them and to get the payroll and the profit up. So my viewpoint is always, how do I build it out? How do I make it profitable with little or no, blowback? And that's my approach in everything I do.
Yeah. That everybody that watches is just amazed by the mindset that you have. It's even when we try, we can't get on the level. But I wanted to kind of steer the conversation a bit because the topic for the week is strategy and planning, and you're really really good at that. And before we get into that, we got the shameless plug in the bottom corner. 4 week mastermind is coming up starting October, the first week of October. It's going to be once a week for 4 weeks, and we're going to be talking about slow season strategy. Now, Miss Ward said yesterday that she don't have a slow season. She finds the bag, right? Uh, so when you talk about your strategy and ways to stay in the bag, keep the work coming. Uh, I know you don't have a slow season, but what are you doing
Okay.
to prevent that slow season and and move your business forward each year?
I'll answer that in just a second. I just need us to bow our heads and take a prayer, because we missed that this morning. Lord knows we can't.
Amen.
Lord,
Go
thank
ahead.
you for the two gentlemen that are joining me on the podcast, and everyone around the world that is listening to us. Lord, give us the ability to bring a message to them, not only for their hearts, minds, and spirits, but for their businesses. Lord, grace our tongues, our minds, and our energies so that we can always be positive. that whenever we are on this podcast, we understand that we are a beacon of light and that we are simply the vessels. Thank you for every gift that you have adorned me with in my life and every grace you have given me for every mistake. Amen. All right. So
Amen.
to answer that question, um, what I do, like right now, I'm paranoid, right? Because I know what it is not only to be broke. Look, let me tell you something. I know what it is to be broke where you done ran out of ramen noodles, where you got to go to the grocery store and you looking at the rotten vegetables because the ones they put in the plastic bag that you put together. I remember when I first became a vegetarian because I couldn't afford to buy meat. Like I know what that's like, right? So I'm so paranoid, which is one reason why my scope is so wide. Like I was telling my partner, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna cut out this market. I'm gonna peel back here. And then my brain be like, well, what if this dies down? You follow me? That's what people don't know about me. Like I have that paranoia in everything I do because I know what it is not to have. And I don't like to walk around with a spirit of lack because I understand that God is my source and supply and that my cup runneth over, and that is a mindset that is God given. So what I do is I pay attention to my key performance indicators. I pay attention to where my work is coming from, and I steer my ship accordingly. Like if I've been spending a lot of time in Alabama and the Panhandle because I got a lot of work coming from this area. At the same time, I still have jobs. Like I got jobs in Valdosta, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, Kingsland, all those places. So what I do is to keep myself from being slow is I'm always paying attention to the current. So prime example, if I get slow somewhere because I have the relationships with Home Depot, Pro Referral, Thumbtack. I rarely use those at this point, but those were the things that kickstarted my business. You follow me,
Hmm.
along with the warranty companies. So I make sure
Yeah.
those reports are in order, and I can always flip the switch on that. You know, and
Amen.
that way
Flip
I
the
always
switch.
have money coming. You cannot, any other. This is what people don't understand about relationships. If you have a profitable relationship that help you get to a certain place, that don't mean you cut that relationship down. You might kind of cut it back or let it become a drip, but you maintain the relationship, you maintain the reviews, you maintain looking at the way customers find you. Like prime example, I get calls every day out of South Florida, even though I'm not down there. I have techs down there that will do work, but 99% of my work I send it to TMM. I sent it
Hmm.
to Q over at Empire, and things that name. Another thing that people got to do is they got to reach out to their surrounding appliance companies and see what they don't do and develop that
Yeah.
relationship. Like right now, Gio has been making a killing because he has a relationship with a gentleman who doesn't do seal systems. So the guy has
Oh
been
yeah.
feeding him like religiously, and he's got seal systems every day. And he worked out a deal where he gives the guy 10% of whatever the bill is.
Oh
You
man.
know,
Good. That's a symbiotic relationship we're talking about.
exactly. So you've got to always, when I say I don't have a slow season, it's only, I mean, in fact, my partner doesn't, we don't live in the same state. So we were discussing how can they fly down, blah, 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 trying to get those arrangements together because no matter what's going on in your life, you got to make it work. You got to make it work. And you got to realize that we're in an industry where you control your paycheck. The key is if you are struggling, you got to understand what did I turn down? What could I not do? What parts did I not? Because the reason you walk away from something or you weren't profitable was either you didn't have the technical expertise to diagnose it timely or properly, or you diagnosed it wrong initially. You follow me? And you had to go back and spend extra money. We have all been there. In fact, some things I'm still there. So then that's my signal. Okay, Miss Ward, let's get some training. Like I have committed to myself, even though Phil don't believe me. Shout out to Atomic Appliance Repair, to Atomic Tech. you know, to commit myself to at least trying to take at least 3 or 4 days a month and just hang out with him. Because I have so much respect for his technical training side and how he is so technical based and how he is plugged in into every manufacturer. He has the latest service bulletins. He's on the phone with these guys. Every training, he's in there with his team. And that's because he understands the growth of his business comes from the fact that his team is trained and they can respond and diagnose quickly and get things done. And they have the latest information. And he does, I think, I don't know if it's monthly or quarterly trainings, but he's on top of that. I mean, I came from automotive. So back in the day, we all know, any of us that worked in companies, when companies used to spend money on training, you didn't have customer service issues. You didn't have the poor quality of work that we have now. Everything that we have now is because they cut out the foundation of what business is built on, which is training. Period. Dot in. You got to educate your teams.
Amen. You back, TK?
Yeah, I was experiencing technical difficulties. Um, Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
agree.
Your audio is still funny.
And like I always say, if you don't know what your plan is, or let me rephrase that: if you plan to fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's one thing you got to look at Miss Ward and realize is that she has a plan. Your plan might not be exactly like Miss Ward's. Your plan might not be exactly like TK or exactly like EJ's. But the key is knowing your market, knowing that avatar, that customer Miss Ward always talks about. Who is your customer? Who are you going based off of those guys and the different things that come in? I always feel spoiled because we don't have to we have yet to have to worry about where the work's coming from. It just comes. And I'm never there's not a day that goes by that I'm not thankful for that. But if you're in a situation where you're just getting started and maybe you've been through one or two slow seasons, you know it sucks. You know it's coming, so plan accordingly. Get something going so that when December, in my January, February usually is when we slow down. Haven't in the last few years, but if you see that coming up on you, plan accordingly, and don't act like it's not gonna happen. Hope it doesn't, but plan that it will, and that way you're gonna be ready for it when it comes. I
Yeah.
talked to a gentleman recently. He called me with questions about growing his business and stuff like that. Talking about adding a tech. It was a solo operation. So I started asking basic questions, and these are basic questions y'all need to answer. If you're planning on adding a tech to your team, how many calls are you taking in during the slow season? Are you gonna? Because the last thing you want to do is hire a guy, and then the slow season comes around, you got to get rid of him, or you're gonna be sitting there doing nothing while your tech's out there running calls, and you ain't got enough for even two people. So it's just, and I told the guy in love, I said, look, man, I said, I love you, buddy. You're nowhere near ready to hire a technician. You can fill your own schedule. So for the love of God, please don't hire a technician because you're taking on the responsibility of making sure that technician has work, and that is a huge responsibility that you should not take lightly. That person has a family. That person has maybe children to feed, and it's up to you to make sure that that technician has jobs. My techs are going to run calls before I run calls because I know that they got to eat and they got to pay the bills and et cetera, et cetera. I kind of got off
Amen.
topic.
Yeah, but that's
Well,
true.
as Saul's calling you out, he says, "Brother TK is so serious. It's Friday, friend." See, I can do a little Spanish, a little muy poquito español. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think we don't give enough credit to, like, for me, I don't think I give enough credit to how I started my business. Like, I think when you initially start a business, you need to sign up for every warranty company. You need to get as many, as me and Gio were talking the other day, because he was doing a seal system job for High Sense. And you know me, I'm all about the bag. I'm like, really? I'm like, what are they paying you? In my brain, that's what I'm, because I'm always on them about the ticket average. And he's like, remember, we talked about reps. And he's right. You know, the key is you need to sign up for everything so you can get your reps in and get your skill up. Particularly those of y'all that
Yeah.
are set on coming in without the background. You know, that getting
You
the
don't always
reps
get
up
paid with
is so
money.
important. And so that's one thing I think I don't really, I kind of take for granted the way my business runs because it runs so much different than so many other people because I have a boutique appliance repair business. And I realized it was because of how I set it up. I signed up with every warranty company. I signed up with Lowe's, Home Depot. I had my Google, I got a phenomenal page. Anybody look at my page, they like floored, but all that was strategic. And when I was doing that leg work, because it's in place, like I just had to tweak my website because I cover 3 states. And I was getting calls like, "Do you service up?" I was like, "Dang, I forgot that." So that took me 2 minutes to do. I just emailed my people, done. But what I'm saying is, your foundation is going to dictate your growth. And the reason why people think they have to hire people is because they really don't have systems in place. They think that they need the help when they don't. If their systems were streamlined, they would understand. First of all, 99% of the people aren't paying themselves a salary. They just looking in the bank. We already know what it is because we did it, you know? And
Hmm.
then the people who think that, oh, Miss Ward's got a plan. Yeah, I got a plan, but it's loose, honey. Like, let me tell you, this morning I woke up, I had 5 additional jobs. And I was like, and I had to, that's why I tell my better half, if I start complaining, slap me. I just have
Yeah.
to figure out how to get them in place and still continue to excel. That means my systems. I have a system. I reach out to the customer. I send a text message because I rarely talk to customers. People wonder how. I'm like, because I'm in 2030. That's how. So send them a text
So,
message and I tell them send me videos, images, whatever they need. That way I'm training the customer not to call me, that this is what we're doing. This is how we run our businesses ran, but through AI so we can be efficient, and give every customer our undivided attention when we're there and life still happens. So all my customers are trained, they communicate, to give me pictures and images, and I slide them in, I let them know the dates and the windows of opportunity that we're going to be there, boom, boom, boom. And we show up with parts in hand and solve it. It ain't really that hard, but that's my system. You feel me? Having the resources to purchase the parts, to show up with them in hand, and any other issues and lock it down, that is my area. But that is my way. You can't do
yeah.
that on everything, and it ain't always 100%. But that's how I move.
Yeah.
You just
You
gave me
know,
an idea.
go ahead.
Well,
What kind
it's
of
not
idea
really.
you got?
Well, when she was talking about the pictures and stuff, I was just thinking about the new website that Mike made for me, and he made this scheduling page on it where you can schedule, and he kind of did it how I wanted it done. But I'm gonna call him later or text him and see if he can add a picture section to that for any relevant pictures. Like, hey, it might be something as simple as, hey, this cracked, or this ice maker's got a big block of ice around it, which we know that that is, or
Hmm.
whatever. A picture area with your schedule and the service. I need to write that down. Where's my pen at?
Little nuggets. Little nuggets. So Miss Ward has mentioned uh, her mind is in 2030. Uh, and I kind of want to explain that in my words. And I'm thinking of a sports analogy. Uh, the quarterback of a football team, if you do sports, uh, he's right in the middle. And he knows all the pieces, all the switches he can flip, all the numbers he can dial up. And he can see the whole field. And you ever watch when a great quarterback is making that last drive in the fourth quarter, and the back's against the wall, and they can see the things that are coming, even though they ain't even there yet. They have options. paid attention. He's studied. He's done all the work, all the legwork. He's worked and built the relationships with each person on the team. He knows if this number one option ain't ready or he's not available, I can go to two, three, or four. And all you got to do is flip that switch. And I was thinking on the other side is during the busy seasons, we always talk about um, when you're too busy. Well, how can you become more efficient? And we talk about flipping switches. You start cutting off different things, right? Maybe you cut off a different type of appliance, or you cut off a zip code. Uh, you cut off different types of customers. If they're specific on a time frame they need, and that don't work with you, you just say not my customer. But when you get to the slow season, you may flip some of them switches back on and say, I don't usually use Angie, but maybe I might look at some of these leads or Thumbtack or whatever. Uh, I don't recommend signing any contracts with them, but whatever you can get relationships with, warranty, property managers, whatever it is, have those options in your back pocket so you can make those moves. I'll say TK might be calling me out. I'm not the one he was talking to, but I just interviewed yesterday and made an offer to a guy to join our team, and I'm scared to death. But I've done my homework. Right, this guy would be coming in October, and that's right before the slow season. What am I thinking? But I've noticed that I have too many jobs for me while the other guys are doing theirs, and they're doing too many jobs. So we may take a little hit on the call volume per tech, but I know I've got some switches I can flip and get us through because I've been through a few slow seasons. And it may come bite me in the butt, but that just means I need to try something different. And
Yeah,
and TK's
you
right.
know
You
what?
don't just walk into that willy nilly. You got to know what the heck you're doing.
And
Go
you
ahead.
know what you can turn on and what you can turn off. You're getting too busy, you can turn this off. You're getting too slow, you can turn this on. But at the end of the day, um, it's always it's always a little bit of whether you're busy or not. It's always a little bit scary adding personnel. But if you go into it prayerfully and planning properly, look at all those P's I just used. Um,
Hmm.
you're you're
The
gonna
PPP plan.
and speak that wise. I didn't burst that young man's bubble, but you know what? You would have been worse if I hadn't burst his bubble. Was saying, "Oh yeah, man, go ahead, hire that tech," and then 6 months from now, he's calling me like, "TK, I'm broke, bro. I got hacked. I had to fire this guy. I would rather hurt your feelings today, and you realize down the road that hey, that was some really good advice. A lot of times good advice hurts. If all the advice you're getting blows your head up and makes you think that everything's honky dory, then you might want to get around some different people that are going to give you better advice. Speaking of Angie leads or whatever the name of it is, they called me yesterday. Boy, I had a talk with them. Dude ended up hanging up on me. He said, "Hey, this is so and so with Angie, whatever." I said, "Did you say Angie?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man," I said, "don't call me." He said, "Why?" I said, "Lead generation is a cancer to my industry." I said, "Don't ever call this phone number again. Take me off every list you got." And he hung up. But that's my
Amen.
opinion. My own opinion. If you want to buy service calls, go buy service calls.
Hey, Kurt Benfield's checking in. Hey, he says thanks again for having me on yesterday. I was a little nervous. Next time he'll be smoother. I'll tell you what. I caught most of that, Kurt. You did great, like a natural. And I'll tell you a little secret. Uh, I'm nervous every time the red light comes on. Still,
Kurt's
Eh,
awesome, man.
you just go. But Kurt's got the right personality for
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be a new co-host. Sure.
it. Now we do have a question uh, coming up here from Kevin Davis. What or when is slow season, or is it based on the appliance? And that depends on where you are. And
Yep.
some people don't really get a slow season. So, like for example, in Florida, their slow season is the summer, right? And then all the snowbirds come in towards the winter, late fall, early winter, and that's when it gets busy. You got these houses that's been sitting empty for most of the year, and then they come back and realize they got problems. Uh, for us in the Midwest, uh, it's the winter time, I guess, because all of them are going back to Florida. No, you know, one we got theories on why it is, but I'd say summertime for us, more people are home using the stuff. Uh, they're wearing them out a little faster. They're paying attention to it. Uh, Refrigerators don't run as good when it's hotter. I don't know why that doesn't affect Florida. So that may be a bad theory, but that's the idea. And if I don't know if this is your first year in, Kevin, or what, but I started in 2019, and I didn't know really a slow season. It kind of got a little slower, but every year was up, 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 up. And last year it wasn't. And it's just kind of, it's up, but it was more like this instead of that. So you got to pay attention. It's like we said about the quarterback watching the entire field. You got to see the whole game ahead of you, have your plans and your backup options, and pay attention. When it's slow, I'll go out, print some property management flyers, and go in and introduce myself to some properties. I'll join networking groups and actually show up to some of the meetings. Different things just to get our name in front of more people.
I'll be happy to slow down enough just so I can redo this van I've been driving, man. I'm ready to outfit this bad boy, and I'm gonna do the floor system in it like I did my old van, but I'm gonna tweak it a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. So stay tuned for that. I'll post a video once I do it.
Yeah. Well, I think that if we
Here,
ever, whenever I'm sorry, whenever you,
you're good. Go ahead.
whenever you deal with a thumbtack or Angie's or whatever, you have to understand the name of that game. And that's why I tell people if you do something with thumbtack, make sure you got a budget. Make sure you're, man, Marsha May was dead, bro. You should have came up to the panhandle, Kevin. Bro, get out of South Florida, man. Get out the swamp. There are other parts of the state. We need you over here in the panhandle, man. You got to understand, we got Destin, Pensacola, Panama City, Santa Rosa Beach, 30A, you know?
Yeah.
Get out of there, bro.
There's not
You pop
anywhere
up to
near enough
Gainesville.
people to cover it all.
Gainesville's only like 4 hours away. And y'all got to get up out of South Florida, man. Don't sit down there and die. I'm telling you, it ain't worth it. Telling you what I know, bro. But getting back to the lead thing, whenever you're dealing with those leads, you got to have a strategy. The reason I was so successful on Thumbtack, the same template squad strategy I use now. When I used to get leads, I used to just copy and paste my template, and I was quicker than calling or dealing with customers. They would respond immediately, and I locked in those jobs. That's what worked then, But you got to
Yeah.
have a strategy, whatever you do, because that's your money and that's your investment.
Yeah, that's
Let me.
exactly right.
What's the
I'll
advantage?
say,
And I play devil's advocate. what are the advantages of a thumbtack or Angie lead over a warranty company? Like, warranty companies not charging me anything to run their calls. Is it because you can charge higher prices with Angie leads or thumbtack? I'm just more curious than anything.
So the Angie and Thumbtack, you're paying for the lead, but you name the price. And that's the
Right.
big difference. Like you might get your free warranty lead, but you might get $100, $110, or 85. Uh, when you get them on the phone from Angie or Thumbtack, you've done paid. I'd rather pay that. Now some areas are different. Like Doug talks about up in Connecticut, the Google lead cost per click is like $60. Uh, for me, I don't pay any more than $13 for any lead. So like my thumbtack is set for a $9 max. So it's usually like the $8.60 ones I get. Uh, Angie, I didn't like because they decide how much it was, uh, the lead price, and it could be anything between $8 and 37, and you got to take it, and it might be a crap call. So one thing Jeremy mentioned about his contract with Angie is over this month. So let me tell you a little bit about that. Uh, 2 years ago, I was in my first real slow season, and I started to freak out. And I actually reached out to Angie, and I didn't realize it was Home Advisor, but I ended up signing a contract with them for $300 a month. They put my ad out on Google or whatever, and you realize you're paying against yourself. You're advertising against your own ads. Uh, but it was set up to where it was 1 year, and if I quit, I had to pay 50% out. I'm like, I ain't paying. I'll at least just deal with it until it gets over. But what happened when the contract was over, I worked out a different deal, and it wasn't a contract. They still send me emails for jobs that haven't been competed against. And if I want to, I can call them. I haven't all year, but that may be one of the switches I flip come wintertime, slow season. Uh, when you get those calls, you don't have to be the first one. It, they're sending them to me because nobody else has done it, and for whatever reason. Uh, Now, one thing Miss Ford mentioned about the template, I was doing the same thing, uh, and I got one thing better because when you get a thumbtack or Angie lead or whatever it is, uh, you whoever answers first gets it, and you got to start that contact. So if you got the notification, you go copy and paste from your notepad on the phone and put it in there and done. House Call Pro one up that. So it connects to Thumbtack, and anytime somebody reaches out on Thumbtack, they get an automated message asking them what's going on with their appliance. And then I can go in and send that message back over to my office help, and they call them and get it done. I mean, I'm over 90% conversion rate on my Thumbtack leads because of that.
Yep.
'Cause you got to find a way to make it work. Angie, I couldn't do it fast enough, and I ended up when I was doing that, I forwarded the phone calls to my office help where they answered it, and it was faster than I can. At first, I set up to my phone number. I was like, "What an idiot!" And then I forwarded it to them. Like, okay, I can't answer the phone. I need
Yep.
help.
But see, that's paying attention to your business though, and coming up with a system. You follow me? coming up with a system
Yeah.
that makes you more efficient and streamlined. And that's part of the issue. People always want to point the finger, but they don't come up with a solution. And then you got to understand it's your money. Watch your money, manage your money. Because let me tell you, if Angie's List and if Thumbtack don't make you watch your money, nothing will. Because you talking about
Yeah.
something that can run through a bag, and then you have nothing to
Yeah.
show for it.
You
Telling
can
you.
look up and have $500 gone in a week, and you ain't got
Yeah.
nothing to show for it if you ain't paying attention. That's for sure.
I know broken records on here every week saying this, but for those of you just getting started, it dealing with warranty companies and all these different, whether it's home warranty, manufacturer warranty, or whatever, if you don't have your systems in place to make sure that these companies are paying you, they will rape you. And I hate to use a very drastic word, but that's exactly what they do. Ask me how I know. I know because it did to me. And it wasn't until I realized, and property managers will do it to you too. I have a system for my property managers. We've been getting new property managers on a weekly basis, calling because they heard of us, and we have a system in place. We run 3 calls for that property management company. If they have not paid within 30 days, we send them a late fee on all 3. And if they don't pay after that, they're cut off. I'm not gonna play games with you. I'm not gonna wait for my money. You have 30 days to pay me, and that's it. And if you don't pay me, I'm gonna cut you off, and you can go find somebody else. And when you realize that Joe Jack down the street don't know what he's doing, you had it better here at Richmond Appliance Guys. You're gonna come back. You're gonna pay those late fees, and then you're gonna pay your. I had one of the biggest property management companies around this area. There were 60, 80, 120 days paying me. I started banging them with late fees. I'm getting checks in the mail, sometimes on a weekly basis even. Um,
Hmm.
and they were a huge account, so I talked to the owner. I said, look, man, I said, you're property manager. When your tenants are late on their rent, what do? You charge them a late fee. You charge them a late fee for not paying their rent. I'm doing the exact same thing to you. I said, I'm gonna waive. I waived probably about $400 worth of late fees for this man. He has not been late once since. He's actually paying me sooner than 30 days because that's your money. And if you don't have those systems in place, you're just going to keep rolling. You're going to check
Hmm.
that bank account every morning and make sure you got money in it. And next thing you know, you don't have money in it, and you're scrambling, and
Yeah.
it sucks.
Amen.
Yep. All
Amen.
been there.
Well,
All right,
I think
guys.
we've went long enough this
Yeah, man, I
time.
gotta go get paid, bro. I got to go. I gotta get that bag.
Get it?
Samsung evap cover, job 1.
Oh,
LG seal system, job 2. Tell you,
I get
man.
it.
Eat for today.
You making the money today.
Man, I got about 4, 5 jobs, and then I gotta be over in Kingsland, Georgia tomorrow. So jet setting. That's what we do.
Well, go.
Let's do it. So just remember, check out servicealliancegroup.com if you need any help in your business, uh, getting to the next level. And as always, check out Miss Ward, Solid Steps to Wealth on YouTube, and get your daily dose from the boss. Uh, with that, we're gonna sign out and go get back to work for Friday.
Have a great weekend,
Have a
everybody.
good one.